Welcome into NFL Total Access and welcome to my apartment. I'm your host, Colleen Wolfe, on this Monday, April 27th. The draft has come and gone, and now we know for sure that Joe Burrow is a Bengal. The Cincinnati Bengals taking Joe Burrow #1 overall, shocking nobody at all. The reaction was fantastic, just as it was at every one of the draft picks house that we saw. They took the national champion and the Heisman winner as the first overall pick, and Burrow repping his hometown there of Athens with the 740 area code on his Ohio tee. He joins a Bengals offense that suddenly looks strong. On paper, A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, second-round pick T. Higgins. You have running back Joe Mixon in there, too, not to mention John Ross and their top pick from last year, left tackle Jonah Williams, who missed all of last season. It's a vision for Bengals fans coming off a 2-win season and a dream for their second-round pick.
Just getting a call from, my favorite team in the NFL is just, it's surreal. Being able to call myself a Cincinnati Bengals, man, it's crazy. And, being able to play with Joe, man, he's a guy with great character. He tore it up on the college field, and I know he's going to tear it up in the league. So I'm really looking forward to building that chemistry with him and going out there and tearing up defenses.
So T. Higgins, he grew up loving A.J. Green, and now look, they're teammates together. Everything's sort of coming together as we welcome in Kurt Warner and Daniel Jeremiah. So DJ here, how quickly can Joe Burrow find success, do you think, in Cincinnati?
I think he can find success quickly. I think he's going to get on the field very early. And for this run-up to the draft, we've talked about Joe Burrow, the accuracy, the decision-making, the playmaking ability. I don't know if we've given enough credit for just his intelligence. And when you talk to the coaches at LSU, they talk about the fact he got there after the freshmen had already reported. He did not transfer there in the spring or have a full summer. He was able to pick up that offense in just a couple weeks and then get on the field. He's the son of a longtime college coach. He's going to be able to figure out this playbook and swallow it quickly, and that's going to help him get on the field early. And Kurt, when you look at the guys he has around him, he's got some nice toys to play with. I think you'll see some success early on for Joe Burrow.
Oh, no doubt about it, DJ. I mean, usually when you're the #1 pick, you're all excited that you got picked #1 overall, but then you look around you and you go, well, the cupboard's a little bit bare. We've got a lot of work to do. But, man, if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm looking at this situation and go, man, I got A.J. Green, one of the best in the business. Tyler Boyd, a good #2. Joe Mixon in the backfield. We talked about John Ross and T. Higgins. Giovanni Bernard is a guy I think that can be very successful if they do what Joe Burrow did in college, right? Big question is that offensive line. Jonah Williams and company last year 23rd in terms of giving up sacks. But what Joe Burrow did so well in college was get the ball out of his hands, get 5 out, not worry about blocking everybody up, but get the ball into your playmakers' hands. He's got a lot of playmakers to do that. So, DJ Colleen, if they play a similar style system to what they did at LSU, I believe he's got a chance to have some personal success early.
Yeah, not to mention on defense with DJ Reader there now, too, and the combo of him and Geno Atkins in such a physical division. That's also an upgrade. But let's move on to the second quarterback that came off the board, the 5th overall pick, Tua Tagovailoa, going to the Dolphins. And after all of the rumors and speculation, Tua never fell. Instead, landing in Miami, where he'll join quarterbacks Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen. There he is with his family celebrating after the selection. All the pieces now starting to come together with Tua and fellow first-round pick offensive tackle Austin Jackson. The Dolphins adding a couple running backs, signing Jordan Howard in free agency and trading a 5th-round pick to the Niners for Matt Breida as they try and turn around what was the worst running game in the league last year, along with wide receiver Devontae Parker coming off that 1,000-yard season. So, DJ, look, Tua was one of the most intriguing stories of the entire draft. Whether he would fall, whether the Dolphins would pass on him or not, is he the right quarterback to turn that franchise around?
Well, I think so. I mean, look, you're going to take a little bit of a risk on the health here, and everybody acknowledges that. Tua's had some durability issues. A hip injury is a very serious injury. But when you're just looking at the talent, I thought he was clearly the #2 quarterback in this year's draft class and very much worthy of being picked as a top 5 player. He's a point guard. He can distribute the ball accurately. He's efficient. He protects the football, which you like to see, and that's oftentimes the issue with a young quarterback. That's not going to be a problem for him. Kurt, the issue to me is durability. Outside of durability, I love everything about Tua and how he plays the game, and I think the Dolphins have to be excited about what they have.
Yeah, DJ, I 100% agree that when you look at this class, there's no question he was the right guy for the Miami Dolphins. And, one thing I love about him is his ability to get the ball out of his hands quickly. He's able to read, decipher, process information, and get the ball out quickly. This isn't quite like the Bengals. They don't have all the pieces around Tua. So whether he plays this year or next year, he's going to have to make quick decisions and find ways to get the ball out of his hands. We go all the way back to a couple years ago when he's playing in that national championship game. He sees that safety hold just a little bit, ball out of his hands. We're going to see here great pocket movement as well. Not necessarily a great athlete, but great feel in the pocket, step up, another dime. He's got tremendous accuracy. This is what I think he does best. A little RPO right here. Read that backside linebacker. Boom. Switch your feet. Get the ball out of his hands. I think Miami needs to do a lot of that. And again, not necessarily a great athlete, but good pocket movement, able to buy time, make good decisions with the football. There is a lot to like about Tua, and I don't think there's any question. Miami got the right guy if this guy stays healthy.
Yeah, I think you hit it there too, Kurt, with the RPO game. I think get as much of that involved with Tua, get him comfortable early on. Chan Gailey, let's major in those RPOs. That's what Tua does best, and that'll make him most comfortable.
Yeah, keep in mind, too, that Alabama had one of the best offensive lines, so he was being protected very well in college. Might not be the same case in the pros here, but we shall see how Tua's career goes there in Miami. Gentlemen, thank you. We'll talk to you in a little bit as we welcome in Ian Rappaport. So, Ian, as the virtual draft went off without a hitch, it was a smashing success. What are some changes we might now see in the future for different drafts?
Well, I talked to Peter O'Reilly, the EVP of league events, who basically runs the draft, and he echoed your sentiments, calling it a wild ride, noting that we saw more humanity and emotion than probably we've ever seen in a draft that was absolutely unlike any other. Couple notes that he mentioned to me. First of all, probably the most important thing, raised over $100 million for charity fighting the coronavirus, giving fans the kind of hope that they wanted to give. That's important. There were no technical issues. They didn't have to stop the clock. Important as well. But here's what I found interesting, Colleen. The league was in so many prospects' houses, sending them an iPhone, setting it up, making sure that we could see the moment they got selected. 85 prospects. That is going to continue the wide reach of cameras in prospects' home. The green room isn't going anywhere. There'll still be about 20-25 in Cleveland next year, but they're going to continue showing many, many prospects seeing their dreams realized.
Yeah, it was fascinating to watch the prospects. There were so many moments that could not be manufactured or replicated just because we had that access. So I do love that idea going forward. But part of this season right now is tracking a lot of the free agents that are still available out there, the veterans. And what do you have? What's the latest right now on what's going on in New Orleans and Jameis Winston?
Now, Jameis Winston expected to sign a deal with the New Orleans Saints at some point in the near future, so he has his landing spot, hopes to do what Teddy Bridgewater did in New Orleans, which is learn from some of the best, Drew Brees and Sean Payton, resurrect his career and go make a ton of money as a franchise starter somewhere, maybe New Orleans, maybe elsewhere. And this is fascinating, too, because Sean Payton has said there's some sentiment inside the building about Taysom Hill being a franchise starter. Well, he got a big deal, too. Overall, it's 2 years, more than $20 million. At this point, it is up in the air whether or not Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston becomes the franchise guy in New Orleans. The Saints are only tied to Jameis for 1 year and Taysom Hill for 2 years. Safe to say this is a situation, the musical chairs at quarterback for the Saints, who becomes their eventual successor to Brees, something we're going to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, Jameis at least very familiar with that division after. Welcome back to Total Access. This was one of the deepest wide receiver classes we've seen in quite some time. The Raiders kicking things off by selecting Henry Ruggs III, 12th overall. That 4.27 speed was just too good for Mike Mayock and John Gruden to pass up. I think Al Davis would approve too. Another AFC West team took the next Alabama receiver, Jerry Jeudy, going to the Broncos with the 15th pick. He joins Cortland Sutton and tight end Noah Fant, a nice group of pass catchers there for quarterback Drew Lock to work with. And one of the big surprises of the night, CeeDee Lamb sort of falling and getting picked up by Jerry Jones. The Cowboys didn't have a need at wide receiver, but now they're loaded with Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Toss in Zeke, and Dak's got to be happy with what he's working with. Overall, it was a big night for the top wideouts, and Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke with all three.
Were you surprised, or?
Honestly, yes, I was a bit.
Well, it's great, and I like that hat.
Thank you. I love it.
You know, you're the first one to preview that hat.
Yes, sir.
Probably felt like a long wait, but it's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is worth it.
Yeah.
It is worth it.
I heard you challenge me a little bit.
Oh yeah. I'm ready to see your video.
CD.
What's going on, Mr. Goodell? How you doing?
Roger, please. I think there's somebody named Dak Prescott who's going to be pretty happy to see you, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can't wait. Like I said, I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's a great organization, great town, and they love their football down there, so I'm sure they're going to be happy to see you.
Roger Goodell working overtime. He's doing interviews, he's announcing the picks, and he's dancing a little bit too. 6 wide receivers went in the first round. The only draft with more was back in 2004 when 7 went off the board in round 1. The Eagles, Vikings, and Niners joined the party this year, selecting Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson, and Brandon Ayuk. So let's bring in Steve Smith Sr. here and Steve Mariucci. I got my Steves in the house. Look, each situation is obviously different for all of the wide receivers that were selected, but which rookie wide receiver will have the biggest impact next season? Steve, I'm going to start with you.
For me, the wide receiver that have the biggest impact is Lynn Bowden Jr. out of Kentucky to Las Vegas. Raiders took him in the third round. And what I really love about him, when he was drafted, it said running back. He played quarterback, he plays wide receiver, played running back, plays punt return, Mr. Everything. He reminds me of a guy that was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers and threw a touchdown pass to Hines Ward in the Super Bowl in 2005, which is Antoine Randall L., former quarterback at the University of Indiana. So I love Lynn Bowden Jr. because he's going to do everything. And you know John Gruden is going to get in his plays and start to design a lot of creative things for this young man.
Well, the first 2 picks for the Denver Broncos, guys, were receivers. You mentioned Jerry Jeudy already. Colleen, he's the Biletnikoff Award winner, maybe the best route runner in this draft. Excellent pick at number 15. And KJ Hamler from Penn State also went in the second round. So you take those 2 great receivers, and coupled with the fact that the Denver Broncos had a great draft last year. Heck, first round, you mentioned Noah Fant earlier. He starts at tight end. Drew Lock, the second rounder, he starts at quarterback. And Dalton Reisner, he starts at guard. Man, they've got a good young offense, and I think they're going to be dynamite together. They're all going to grow up together and be very, very productive.
So, Moose, Denver gets some wide receivers. The Raiders get wide receivers. Are they trying to play a little catch-up to Kansas City? I've said it, but I think this is the track meet division. What do you say about that?
Yeah, Steve, there's no doubt. The AFC West now has got a lot of speed, a lot of skill. The ball's going to be flying all over the place, scoring a lot of points. That's what we want, right? That's what the fans want, some points and some excitement. Well, we're going to get it, and we're going to see if anybody can dethrone those Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champs, with all these wide receivers. It's going to be fun.
Everybody's trying to keep up with the Chiefs. Jerry Jeudy, by the way, he will be wearing number 10, a familiar number for Broncos fans after Emmanuel Sanders wore it there for so many years. So we'll see if Jeudy has the same type of success as Sanders did. Some highlights from this year's draft. The first round was all about the SEC. 15 players selected Thursday, most by a conference all time. LSU was well represented the first 2 days with 10 players drafted in the first 3 rounds, tied for the most by a school all time. As predicted, the wide receivers stole the show, 13 off the board in the first 2 rounds, most in the Common Era. And we also saw a Heisman Trophy winner go first overall for the 3rd straight draft. Here's Aditi Kinkhabwala with the Bengals.
The Bengals got themselves their franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, and it was certainly endearing to Bengals fans to hear that one of the first things he said to head coach Zach Taylor was, "I'm ready to go." But now, perhaps even more important than the selection of Burrow was the fact that the Bengals showed they are committed to investing around him. With the first pick in the 2nd round, they chose Clemson receiver T. Higgins. And that's with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and John Ross already on the roster. But the way Taylor put it was, you want him to have as many weapons as possible. Now, the Bengals have spent $130 million in free agency. There's certainly a lot on Burrow's shoulders. Andy Dalton is still on the roster. But Taylor made no secret of the fact that when you choose someone first overall, the expectation, as Taylor put it, is to contribute and win championships.
The Dolphins' brain trust, led by general manager Chris Greer and head coach Brian Flores, made 11 picks over the course of the 3-day NFL draft. And Greer said the board fell pretty much the way they wanted it to, although there were moments where tables got pounded and maybe some words were said that we can't repeat on national television. However, the big news is, of course, they appear to have gotten their quarterback of the future. Tua Tagovailoa selected 5th overall. The tank for Tua, which was the dream all offseason for Dolphins fans, and even during the course of the season, came true despite the Dolphins winning more games than you thought. Tua said he's very grateful that the fans think that highly of him. He said, however, this is a clean slate. What he did in college doesn't matter. He has to go prove himself to his coaches and his teammates in the National Football League. But Brian Flores said he's a good player, a good person, a good leader. We're very excited with the pick.
Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn says, of course, they drafted Justin Herbert to be their franchise quarterback, but he didn't want to put a timetable on when they expect him to start. When Herbert gathers virtually with his new teammates next month during rookie minicamp, he'll see a different-looking Chargers playbook, one with his development in mind. Lynn telling me because Herbert's played so much out of the shotgun formation in his career, LA plans on using the pistol formation a lot more than they previously have. Lynn saying they don't want something foreign to him, like lining up directly under center, to hinder his early growth. When I spoke to Herbert this weekend, he said he appreciates the Chargers making that commitment to him and said at the end of the day, it's all about competition. He told me he's excited to push Tyrod Taylor and to learn from him.
So Justin Herbert and Tyrod Taylor, both pieces of the puzzle in LA. No need to rush things if they don't want to. It's a great situation for any quarterback to have the skill position players of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler already in place. Let's bring Daniel Jeremiah and Kurt Warner back in here. So knowing everything, DJ, that you know so far about Justin Herbert, should he be the week 1 starter for the Chargers, whenever that is and whoever they're going to play?
I don't think so, Colleen. I think you look at the situation there. Justin Herbert has a lot of impressive tools, but I think there's some more time that's needed with him. And when I look at this Chargers team, the formula they're going to try and win games with next year is dominant defense, which is going to get a healthy Derwin James hopefully for the entire season, something they didn't have last year. They bring in Kenneth Murray. They're going to be very good on the defensive side of the ball, and they want to run the ball, protect the ball. That's Tyrod Taylor's calling card, and Tyrod Taylor's somebody that Anthony Lynn has so much confidence in. He talked about it last year. They put him in some games, as you see here, to try and get some quarterback run game going. That's the formula for this team next year, Kurt, and I think Tyrod Taylor's the guy they envision making that formula work for them and try and get back to where they were 2 years ago in the win and loss column.
Well, yeah, DJ, I mean, I think it's hard to make that determination until we know what this offense is going to look like. And that's what fascinates me. With Phillip Rivers back there, they were spreading the ball all over the place. They weren't a downhill run type team. They didn't do a lot of that play action off of the hard downhill run game. So what are they going to look like this year? Because I don't believe Tyrod or Justin Herbert are built to play the way that they've played in the past. And you said, hey, I think we're going to be a little more quarterback run game, probably more bootlegs, Are they built? Austin Eckler, I mean, where he's so good is out in space, right? Getting the ball to him quickly. So I really need to see how this offense is built before we can make this determination. But I believe Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert are kind of built from the same mold. Play action, quarterback run game, bootlegs is where they're going to thrive. And I'm with you, Daniel. When I thought coming into the draft, he's going to need a little more time. Let him grow a little bit behind a veteran quarterback, learn the system first. So I agree with you. I think Tyrod will be the starter, but a lot will depend on what this offense looks like next year.
Yeah, I think this offense, Kurt, I think it's going to look like that Shanahan scheme. That's where Anthony Lynn played in. That's where he's comfortable. That didn't really fit Phillip Rivers. That more fits Tyrod Taylor. So you're going to see a lot of that outside zone running with their three backs that they have, having added Joshua Kelly to go along with Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson. And then you'll see some of that boot action. But again, the mobility of the quarterback is going to come into play, which Herbert can give you that, as well as Tyrod Taylor. I just think with Tyrod Taylor, the decision-making as a veteran, he'll be a little bit ahead of Justin Herbert, and that's why I anticipate him being the guy for 2020.
Man, Tyrod Taylor once again finds himself with a first-round quarterback waiting in the wings, just like he did in Cleveland. Another quarterback that found himself in that situation, albeit pretty surprising, Aaron Rodgers. So the Packers pulling a fast one on all of us, trading up with Miami to take Utah State quarterback Jordan Love. Our Ian Rappaport reporting this week that Green Bay was adamant on moving up, arranging multiple deals to land the quarterback. And as we look at a full recap here of the Packers draft, another surprise is the fact that they passed on a wide receiver, something the team has needed for a while now, especially with the depth at that position in this very draft. Instead, going for a running back and tight end on day 2. So I guess their sights right now are set on the future. DJ, when you look at Jordan Love, how does he really fit, and why was this the move right now to make for the Packers?
Well, this is a great example to me of how you have a head coach whose responsibility is the next day and the next year. We got to focus on the now. Then you have a general manager in the front office who have to forecast out into the future and protect the organization going forward, thinking a decade ahead, not a day ahead. And I think that's why you have a decision like this. I know Packer fans got to be frustrated. This team was on the doorstep of going to the Super Bowl. You want to bring in somebody that's going to help your quarterback, not eventually replace them. But they've had the good fortune, Kurt, of going from 15 years of Favre to 15 years of Rodgers, and I know their hope is that they'll eventually get to 15 years of Jordan Love. I just don't see it happening for a couple years. I think this is probably Jordan Love on the bench for 2 more years before he's given the keys to this car.
Yeah, DJ, I'm with you. You know, this is one of those decisions that we're not going to know if it was the right decision for another decade until we find out. But yeah, the Packers have been a team that's had basically 3 decades of success because they've taken care of that position. But what does it mean for the now? You know, as a player, as an Aaron Rodgers type player, you're like, I need to win now. I need to get back to the Super Bowl. But when you watch these guys play, I think Jordan Love is very similar to Aaron Rodgers in what he's capable of doing. I know a lot of people throw Patrick Mahomes out there, but Aaron Rodgers is, you know, Patrick Mahomes before Patrick Mahomes. The ability to get out on the edge and make big throws with your arm. You see that athleticism from a Jordan Love. Right here, tight throws into tight windows, being able to use that big arm, confident. You see those kinds of throws over and over again. You'll see him throw from a lot of different platforms. Look, he's looking to his left. Feet aren't set, comes back to the right. I mean, how many times have we seen Aaron Rodgers do that? Being able to buy time within an offense, being able to create plays with his legs. So he's built in a similar mode to Aaron Rodgers, but I'm with you. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the guy there until he's not there anymore. And so whether that's 2 years, whether that's 4 years, we have no idea. But if Jordan Love turns out to be the guy they think he is, they'll have another decade of success once Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Well, I know a lot of people are looking and asking the question, will Aaron Rodgers be his mentor? Is he going to take him under his wing? If you're Jordan Love, forget all that. Just use Aaron Rodgers as an example. He used that time that he was sitting and waiting for Brett Favre. He remade himself mechanically, totally, completely changed his throwing motion, and he became a better quarterback because of using that time wisely. Jordan Love doesn't need to do that mechanically. The way he throws the football is pure and as beautiful as you'll ever see, but he does need to improve his decision-making, and that's something, if he can put in the work, Colin, battling day after day during this time while he's sitting and learning and become a better decision maker, he'll be able to hit the ground running once he does eventually get the opportunity.
Yeah, DJ, I mean, speaking on that, I was in those situations a couple times in my career where a young quarterback comes in and that whole idea of being a mentor or not being a mentor, and whether you accept that role and you go out of your way to teach a young quarterback, or as you said, the young quarterback, you don't have to do a lot of things different. Just make yourself available. Come watch film with me. Come look at how I study. Ask me questions after every play. And so if I'm Jordan Love learning from one of the best that's ever played the game, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't have to, be heavy on Aaron Rodgers in every situation, but I am going to follow him around and watch what he does and say, hey, if I'm going to have a chance to be special like this guy, I'm going to take everything I can over the next few years until I get my shot.
And hey, it's a great way to motivate my feet. This moment from Thursday just really spoke to me. Bill Belichick's dog, Nike, quickly became one of the darlings of the draft. And apparently, he's part of the brains of the operation, from drafting to zooming here. Nike, he has entered the chats. The Patriots tweeting this screenshot of their conference call. Bill Belichick not pictured, but Nike's there to make sure he gets his FaceTime in. So now we kind of know who's running the show there. Let's give out some draft grades presented by Lexus. The Patriots trading out of that first round, addressing needs on the edge, secondary, and tight end, drafting 2 at the position, just 10 picks apart. However, wide receiver remains thin, and quarterback is still a very, very big question mark. So for more on this, we bring back in Steve Smith Sr. and Steve Mariucci. Mooch, obviously, we don't see a quarterback on that list there. So how would you grade their draft, considering they could have drafted Jordan Love, but they traded out of that spot?
Yeah, they sure did with the Chargers. So you look at their draft and you see first who they lost before this draft occurred. Of course, Tom Brady. Can't replace Tom Brady, and a tight end named Ben Watson, who was quite a leader in that locker room. And then they lost some linebackers, a lot of defensive guys, but a couple of linebackers, Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins, are gone. They were very good for that team. So, and then the kicker, Gostowski. You got to replace these guys, right? Well, they tried to do that. In the second round, it was Kyle Duggar, the Division II kid. I played Division II football. And Lenore Ryan, man, this guy's got a chance. Pretty good player. And then they drafted in the second and third round a couple of linebackers. Josh Uche from Michigan. Very versatile guy. He's rushed the passer. He'll drop into coverage. And Fernie Jennings, another third rounder from Alabama. Couple of linebackers, Ozzie and Keene. So what they did is they replaced with young kids, the guys that they lost. Keep in mind, the Patriots are the best in the league at developing players. Maybe you don't recognize some of these names, but they have great player development on that team. Now, as far as the quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, they must love the guy because he's a guy he drafted in the 4th round from Auburn last year. He's been around in meetings and practice, and they didn't replace him. They got Brian Hoyer to back him up. But you know what? They must like him a lot because they haven't drafted anybody to compete with him. So watch this guy. He's going to be probably pretty good.
Yeah, Bill Belichick, he must have a plan, right? I guess Cam Newton is also floating around out there, too. But look, we won't see Tom Brady in New England. He's down in Tampa Bay, where he'll have the assistance of first-round pick Tristan Wirfs to protect him. Taken 13th overall, the offensive tackle allowed just 6 sacks over his college career, according to PFF. It's a welcomed addition to a team that saw Jameis Winston get sacked 47 times last season, 4th most in the NFL. So, Steve Smith, look, Brady's situation keeps getting better and better, but does he have enough talent around him now to take Tampa Bay to the promised land, to go on a Super Bowl run?
Well, they already addressed their blocking scheme issues. And so what they do in the 3rd round, they got Keyshawn Vaughn, who is a running back from Vanderbilt and who is exceptionally well running downhill, catches the ball out of the backfield as well. You add him to the mix with 2 1,000-yard receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And oh, by the way, don't forget about Gronk. And what I really love about this pick is because You already know Tom Brady loves to do check with me's at the line of scrimmage and audibles. So Keyshawn Vaughn will be that guy who will stand right next to Tom Brady, who will block in pass coverage, but also get out there in the check down and take the ball, get the ball in his hands, and be an outlet for Tom Brady, because we know Tom Brady loves to utilize everyone on the football field.
I can't wait to watch these Bucs. I never thought I'd say that, but you're talking about a team that now is a contender, a team that led the league in passing last year, and they added all these weapons, including Tom Brady and Gronk. It's going to be a lot of fun. They've got quite a home schedule. A lot of great quarterbacks are showing up over there. Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. That place with the ship and the cannons going off, it's going to be wild over there. I can't wait for the Tampa Bay Bucs to start playing.
It would be pretty sweet to see Tampa Bay win their second Super Bowl in franchise history at home in Tampa Bay, but we shall see what happens. Thank